Hello everyone, welcome back to a new tutorial. This is the third tutorial in our series of houses that we've been doing, these lovely little whimsical houses. We did house number 1, house number 2, we're now on house number 3. If you've missed house 2 or 1, please go back and look at the other videos because they're both there. In the description of house number 1 is the link to the PDF line art for these 3 houses. So if you go back to the first video, in the description you'll find a link and you'll then be able to download the line art, and you can use it as you wish. Feel free to use it as you wish. You don't need my permission. I'd love for as many people as possible to make these lovely little houses because they're so much fun. Okay, so if you haven't seen the previous 2 houses, I'll do a quick run through of what we're doing and what we're using. This is line and wash, or ink and wash. And for the ink, I am using Winsor & Newton Black Indian ink. It's waterproof. And I'm putting the ink on with a glass dip pen. These are really inexpensive. You can get a single pen on Amazon for about £8, I do believe. And this one comes with a little glass rest as well. So the idea is you dip the pen in, it's got a spiral around the shaft there, and the ink just flows off, and you'll see how long it actually lasts before you have to re-dip the pen. So that's what I'm going to be using to put on the ink. For the paints, I have, these are Winsor & Newton professional paints, but I mean you can use whatever paints you've got. You don't have to use these colours. You can completely change the colours or just use similar colours to those you've got. And for the colours, we have raw sienna, burnt sienna, olive green, and this one is a mix of Prussian blue and permanent sap green to give us this lovely teal colour. And that's all we're using, 4 colours. Now, as you can see, even though we are only using 4 colours, the houses look quite different because we're putting the colours in different places and doing different details on the houses, and they look different, but they kind of go together, like they belong together. So that was the idea, that we could do this using as least amount of colours as possible. So once the ink is on, then the paint goes on, and then finally I am going to come over some of the details with these 3 little coloured inks that I've got. Now, if you haven't got these, don't worry. You can just do black ink all the way through. I happen to have some coloured sets for Christmas and I wanted to use them in some way, and I thought this was ideal. So that's why I'm using the coloured inks, but you in no way need these. So please don't go out and buy anything special. Just do it in the black. It's absolutely fine. That's how it's usually done. All the details are usually done in the black. But like I said, I wanted to use those little inks just so that I could. Because what's the point in having the supplies, you see, if you can't use them? So this is the line art for the final house. The brushes I'm going to be using for the watercolour themselves, I have a large number 10 that I've yet to use. Now, the reason I've included this all the way through is because when we finish this house, we're then going to do the background. And I need a large brush for that. So that's a number 10 Aquafine brush. I have got a number 5 round brush. I've done most of the painting on the houses with this one. And I've got a teeny tiny spotter brush. This is a Graduate 5 Dale Rowney spotter, and it is teeny tiny, and that's just in case I need to get in any little details. I don't think I've actually used this much, to be honest, but I had it anyway, so that's what I've included. So we're going to start with the black ink to do the line work. Once the line work is on, I'm then going to erase the pencil. So if while you're putting on line work, you want to add any little details or correct anything, or not include anything, now is the chance to do that. You could add little birds, you could add another chimney. I mean, these are meant to be fun doodle houses, so just go with what you think and have fun with it. These are great fun. I've really enjoyed these 2 so far. So without further ado, just give my black ink a little swirl, and we will begin with the line art. And if you haven't watched the previous two, please go back and watch those, because those were good, fun to do. So I'm just dipping my dip pen into the ink, taking off the excess, about 3/4 of the way up the end of the pen there. And I'm just going to begin putting this line art on. And it's just a case of tracing around all the pencil lines so that we've got a permanent waterproof layer on to put our wash on top of. Now, we'll say once everything is finished right at the end, I do go over and put another layer of the black once I've done the actual watercolour. Let me just show you here. I do then go over various, sometimes not all of it, but most of the main parts. I will go over again with the black ink just to give it a little pop, and to make certain parts stand out from others. So I'm just going to go over all of these pencil lines. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see, I'll try and zoom in a bit nearer when I edit, but I've gone completely off the line there. It really doesn't matter. These are meant to be quirky and fun and misshapen. I've seen a lot of these with like wonky windows and wonky doors. So it really doesn't, they don't have to be perfect. That's part of the fun, is that they don't have to be completely straight and perfect. So this is a little sign on here. I'm going to put a number 3 on there because it's house number 3. Why not? You've got some little trees, and you will notice as I'm going that some of the details I might not put on. So in this case, it's going to be the little lines that I've put on the little tub that the little tree is standing in. I'm going to leave those because when I come back in with the detailed coloured inks at the end, I will put the details in with the coloured ink. But if you're not using coloured ink, just go over all of the line work. And I'm going to do the same here with the door. So I'm going to draw the actual door and the details on the door, such as the window and the little letterbox. But the little lines that I've put on there, I'm not going to put on because I'm going to add those with the coloured inks. Again, if you're not using coloured inks, just put those on with black. If you haven't got a dip pen and all you've got is fine liners, as long as they are waterproof, permanent, the ink has run. Yeah, they're fine as long as they're waterproof and you can paint over them. Just be careful because I've gone through so many different pens that have stated that they are waterproof, only to discover when I've put the paint on that they are not. So yeah, just be careful. This is why I like to use the ink, because I absolutely know it's not going to shift anywhere. So there's the 2 windows. I'm going to add the lines down the side there. Okay, and coming across here. I'm not going to add the brickwork on. This one's got a little weather vane on the top. North, south, east, west. And just the little tiles left on the roof. There we go, completely out the lines there. Let me see. I'm going to put the little lines on the little shutters in. And I think that is as much as I want to do in the black ink. I've got a clean jar of water. I'm going to wash off my ink. And it comes off really easily. Just dry that out of shot here. I've got a little cloth. And that is because, as I explained in the previous houses, when you are changing colours for this, what you don't want to do is to add more liquid into your washes. Now the washes, I've done maybe 1 part paint to 3 parts water, so they are quite running. So I don't want to be adding more water. So every time I'm changing a colour, after I have rinsed off my paintbrush, I am just drying it off on this cloth before I'm going into my next colour, just to save adding any more liquid into the washes. So now this is done, I can erase all the pencil marks and the details. Obviously I'm going to erase the details. I will put those back in with the coloured inks. So I'm just going to get rid of the details. If you've got a needle eraser, which I have many, you use that so that you don't make all this mess with the ordinary eraser, because it literally will go everywhere, including over the freshly hoovered floor. So if you've got a needle eraser, I recommend you use that so you don't have to deal with all that mess that I've just made. Okay, fab. Now we can get on with the painting. So for this particular house, I am going to swap things up a little bit more again. Now I did say at the beginning of this one, I did want all the rooftops to be similar. So the roof is going to be terracotta on this particular house. And I'm actually going to do the front of this house in terracotta as well, because so far we haven't done that. So chopping and changing them around a little bit. So I'm just going to wet my brush, and I am going to come into the burnt sienna, and I'm going to start up on the roof here, and I'm going to put a wash of the burnt sienna over the rooftop. You don't need to be particularly neat and tidy when you do this, because like I said, these line and wash paintings are not designed, they're not meant to be particularly neat and tidy. I am going to come down and do the front of the house in that lovely terracotta colour, which is burnt sienna. I've gone right over there. I love this colour, it's such a rich, lovely colour. I use this a lot in animal pictures, burnt sienna. It's one of those that always gets used. It's a lovely colour. So there we go. And I think also I will do the little tubs in burnt sienna, and then we will add the detail on after. So that's the first wash of the burnt sienna on there. And as you can see, I've gone over everywhere. Nothing is perfect, so I'm going to rinse off my brush. I'm going to take off the excess liquid. For the top of this house, I'm going to do this lovely teal colour. So I'm going to come into the teal and come over the front of the top of this house in this lovely teal colour. Teal is actually one of my favourite colours. And as I said before, this is actually a mix of Prussian blue and sap green. And you get this lovely teal. So just up off the window there. And this is just the first wash. We're going to come back over with a second layer to add a bit of depth and contrast. I think I will do the little chimney teal as well on this one, just to make it a little bit different from the other ones. It's not really a chimney, is it? It's the bottom of the weather vane. And I think I'm going to leave that there for the teal for now. Rinsed out, tapped off the excess. I'm coming into the lovely olive green colour now. And I'm going to do the little shutters in this lovely olive green. And little trees. And as you can see, everything's a little bit pale at the moment. I may even do the little sign. Okay, I think that's it for the olive green. So rinse and dab off the excess. Now I'm going to come into the raw sienna, which is the lovely yellow golden colour. And I am going to do these little window edges. In the yellow. I will do the bottom window sill or window edge in the yellow. And I'm going to come back to the olive green. I'm going to do the door in the olive green. Like so, and I believe that's all the main parts done. Now, to do the little windows themselves, I don't know how well you can see on this one, but they are a very pale blue. So all I do for that is come into the teal, but instead of coming straight onto the picture, I'm going into my water and taking off the excess so that we've got a nice light blue wash for the windows. So that's how we do that. So just do all the windows with that lovely light blue wash, including the little window in the door. And that is our first layer done. So what I'm going to do now is going to leave that to dry, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to add another layer just to deepen. As you can see, it's looking, if you look at the other two, it's looking a little bit washed out. So we're going to come back and we're going to add, sometimes in more places than others. Like here we added some more teal. On the rooftops we did every other tile. We added some more green, dark green, just to pick up the colour. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to wait for this to dry and I will be back and we will add another layer. We are back and our first layer is nice and dry. So now what I'm going to do is going to come back into the lovely burnt sienna, the terracotta colour, and I'm just going to pick out a few of the roof tiles and add some more colour. So it doesn't really matter about any particular pattern. This one I did random, this one I did, I think, every other tile. This one I'm just going to kind of do random as well. Just to add a little bit of interest, a little bit of contrast between the tiles. And where else have we got this? Down here, so I'm going to just one side of the little pots. I'm going to add a touch more of the burnt sienna. And also around the edge of the front of the house. So I'm just going to add all around the edge. And we'll do down here because there's some little steps are going to come down there. I'm going to rinse off my brush, take off the excess water, and I'm just going to blend the edge of that to soften it. So that we don't have that harsh line around there. Like that. And now I'm going to come into the teal colour. So take off the excess liquid. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to come around the edge of the teal and just above the window and down the other side. I'm going to rinse off, take off the excess water and soften the edge so that we don't get that harsh line in there, like so. We'll add a little bit more teal to the chimney. And I'm going to add some teal to the little letterbox. Like so, and rinse off. I'm going to come and get that lovely raw sienna. I'm going to do the little window ledge just to darken that up for some contrast. And we'll do these ones as well. Sorry if you can hear my puggle snoring in the background again. This is what happens when you film these things at night. Everybody's asleep, including the dog. And finally, I'm going to come into the lovely olive green. I'm just going to go over little shutters. Just to deepen those little trees or bushes. Make those a little bit more green. The little sign. And then around the edge of the door, rinse off, take off the excess water and just soften that in like so. And I think that is our second layer done. Softening that line there a little bit. I think think that is our second layer done, and now it's just giving it a little bit more contrast. And that is the painting part of this house finished. So now we need to leave this to dry, and then I'm going to come back with these lovely little coloured inks, and I'll show you each one as I dip them. And we're going to add some details onto our final house, and then finally come back over with the black, and that will be done. And as a last thing, I am going to just put an indication of some blue in the background there, and we will call that done. So I'll be back in a moment once this has dried. Now this does need to be dry before we put the coloured inks on, because otherwise they're just going to want to spread in the moisture. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I am back. We are lovely and dry. So the final step, one of the final steps in this process, is to put these lovely coloured inks on. So I'm going to take my dip pen, and I'm going to start with this lovely red ink that I've got. So I'm just going to dip my pen in, take off the excess, and this is a lovely red colour. And just as I've done on the other two houses, I'm just going to put a line to one side of each little roof tile. So just a little line. It's not a shadow, it's just a little line on each tile, just to give it a little pop of colour, a little extra pop of colour, and a nice little added detail. So there we go, it was nice and easy. And down the bottom here, on these little tree baskets or tubs, I'm going to add some lights. And if you remember, on the front of this house we had some brickwork, so I'm going to add that in now. And I'm not going to do every single brick, I'm just going to give an indication that this is meant to be a brick front. So just a few little random bricks like this, just to give an indication that this is meant to be brickwork. So do a little one there. I mean, if you wanted to, you could put all the bricks in. It would look just as good. I just want to give an indication that that's what this is. So I'm not doing every single brick. Put like that. And then I'm going to add these little steps that were initially on the pencil drawing. I'm going to add those back in along there. And I think that's all the red done. So I'm going to rinse my dip pen off. Just dry it on the little cloth. And now I'm going to come in with the green. This is a lovely olivey coloured green. And I'm going to add some little lines to the inside of these little shutters on both windows to give a little bit of contrast there. I'm going to add some little details to the little trees like that, and I'm also going to come down one side of the door like that. And do I want to come up? No, I'll go along the bottom of the door like that, and we'll add some to the little sign as well like that. I'm going to rinse the dip pen off again, and finally I'm going to come into the blue ink. This is a really vibrant blue, this one. And I am going to add some little lines to the side of the weather vane. And I'm trying to remember, this has got lines across it, hasn't it? So I'm going to put those back in. I'm just going to start in the middle, so I've got a starting point. And then across, adding those. Oh, here comes my cat. Little planks, just to give an indication that they are there. So on these ones, as you can see, all I've done is I just put two little lines in the opposite glass. So it's just to give an indication of a reflection, really, and to add a little bit more interest, like that. And I colour in the little letterbox, so it's a darker blue. And I think that is done. So that's it. It was nice and quick. And now, as I said before, if you look at this house that we've just finished and compare it with the other two houses, I don't know how much this is showing on camera, but because I've gone round some of the black again, it just gives it a little more strength in the picture. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back in with my black ink, and I'm going to go not round everything, but just the main parts of the house. So up this main part here, you don't have to do this. It's just something I like to do. And this is like a wrought iron kind of hanger, so I like to go over that. We'll go over the little number, make that stand out a little bit more. The middle line I'm going to go over like that. I'm going to go around the door, give that a little bit more strength. Around the little baskets and up the tree stem. Make those a bit thicker. I am then going to go just up the outside of the tiles on the roof. Like that. And then on the underneath of the roof edge. Like that. And I'm going to put the cross back on each of the little windows. There. And I think that we are more or less finished. We'll go around the little window on the door. And I haven't actually got it on this one. I'm going to just add a little kind of wibbly wobbly, very wibbly wobbly line. I'm going to add this one in because I obviously forgot to do it, just to give an indication of the pavement there. And I think I'm going to call that done. Let's just go around this window box. I feel like they got a little bit lost. And maybe around the tops of these windows. There. Rinse off my dip pen for the final time. Give it a little dry. Put it back on its little rest. Now, the final thing, because this is our last house, that I want to do is I want to just put a wash of blue sky on, just to take the stark white off of the paper. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just literally going to do a really, really quick wash. To do this, I'm going to take some of this teal and put it into my bigger well here, and I'm going to add lots of water. Come back and show you. So I've added lots and lots of water to that. It's very, very light wash. Okay, and I'm just going to take that light wash and I'm going to come across just to take that whiteness off of the paper. Put that really light wash all over. And that is the final stage of this lovely little painting. If you wanted to, you could add the street in there. This is going to be popped into a frame, so I'm not too worried about getting it right up to the edges there. And finally, down this side. And if you wanted to, you could give an indication of some clouds in there. And the way I would do that is I would rinse off my brush, take off the excess, using the same large brush, and I would just take off some of that colour. To add some nice light spots. So that it looks like there are some clouds going on, like so. Do another one over here, another one over here. Just lift off that colour in a few places. Just using little scrubby motion. Put as many as little in as you want. You don't even have to do this. You just leave it as it was. I quite like the little clouds. And there we go. I hope you followed along and had a go, or are going to have a go at this little project, because it is really, really fun to do. I've really enjoyed doing this. It's been a nice change. There, I'm going to call that done, guys. So we just need to let that background dry, and then we will be done. And I'm hoping you can see the little clouds there. Again, not showing up very well. Once they're dry, they will look more cloud-like. Got a few little blooms going on some of them, which adds to the effect. But I'm glad that the stark white has gone from the sky. I may darken this up and add a grey, gravelly type pavement. I'm not too sure. I'm going to put a mount round and put it into a frame, and it will make a lovely little housewarming gift. All that's left to do is to sign your name, if you wish. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed working on this series of little doodle houses with you, and I will be back very soon with something completely different, not watercolour. As you know, I like to dabble in many different mediums, and I may be going back to the pastels for a little while. Thanks ever so much for your support last year, and I hope you'll continue to support me by giving me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this series of little houses. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the little bell notification. It really, really does help me. I'm determined to grow this year. So thanks a lot, guys. I will see you all in the next one. Bye.